Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 6, The Struggle for Immortal Realm. Chapter 71, 746, The Golden Skeleton Heavenly Clan. 71st of Volume 7. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. The seventh realm of a holy spiritual master requires merging the seven souls into the spirit. By nourishing the souls with the spirit, one strengthens perception and communes with heaven and earth. Li Wei understood that the sect master's severance years ago likely stemmed from his withdrawal from the Pildao Great Ancient Land. Therefore, he never considered causing trouble here, nor did he intend to remain indefinitely. His plan was to hide until his cultivation advanced significantly, making him unafraid of the ninth-generation immortals sent by the Demon Kingdom faction. Then, he would break through and entrust this dangerous, unknown land to the human clan's martial mystic Dao Heavenly Emperors and Emperor Psychic Master. Any hidden dangers would be their responsibility to resolve. As for opportunities, Li Wei's current cultivation was insufficient to seize them. However, plans rarely survive contact with reality. Having just broken through to the fifth realm of a holy spiritual master, Li Wei speculated that the intense fluctuations of spiritual light might have triggered something. The Fusong Divine Tree Spirit Light, along with his five souls, heavenly surge, spiritual wisdom, qi, strength, and central hub, detached from his body and plummeted into the earth. Li Wei knew the grave danger of soul separation. Once detached, he would become a living corpse, or worse, another Hanglinger. T.N. Hanglinger, remember the incident of Ghost Mother by Mother-Child Spring in Lingxiao Palace. Thump. The five souls pierced through the rock strata and crashed onto the ground. The five soul lights converged, coalescing into Li Wei's faint, ethereal form. It was as if his eyes, ears, and senses had detached from his body and flown to another realm. Seated cross-legged within the eight-sided formation flags, Li Wei's physical body experienced a rapid decline in perception, the outside world blurring into a distant haze. Where am I? Is this the third layer Hongting mentioned? The second layer? Or somewhere else entirely? Li Wei pondered, his thoughts shallow and scattered, unable to determine whether he was falling. Examining his translucent form, he found only his five souls, with no trace of his three souls or the remaining two souls. Yet, some of his senses remained partially functional. If this is truly the ancient land of the Pildao, there must be an ancient formation separating the first and second layers. How could I have pierced through so easily? Li Wei shook his head slightly, observing his surroundings. The space before him was filled with a faint golden mist. Thousands of Pildao scriptures floated and shimmered in the air, resembling a sea of stars. The ground was fragile, composed of glass-like crystals that emitted the complex aromas of medicinal pills, crimson, dark gold, azure, and cyan, interwoven in layers. It resembled molten liquid poured from a furnace that had rapidly solidified. The Fusong Divine Tree Spirit Light, rooted in the crystalline ground, stretched upward, its ethereal branches reaching endlessly, their connection to the dilapidated jade palace above uncertain. A sound echoed through the mist. Thump, thump. A slow, heavy sound, like a heartbeat, echoed from the depths of the golden mist. Suddenly, figures surged from the direction of the sound, howling at the sky. The air itself seemed to tear at their bodies, as if trying to rip their flesh apart. A second figure staggered forward, screaming hoarsely, "It's failed. Run. We're all doomed. It's breaking free. Quick, seal this place. Now." One after another, figures emerged from the golden mist. They were all elderly, some wearing Confucian robes, others Taoist robes, their vital energy blazing. Yet none escaped far before collapsing into shimmering motes of light that vanished into nothingness. Li Wei's heart pounded as he retreated, sensing the spirit realm growing dim. Clearly, these people had been dead for ages. The figures that had just emerged were merely lingering shadows from long ago. What calamity had struck this place? The humanoid light shadows were ethereal, yet the heartbeat-like sound echoing from the distance felt terrifyingly real. Daring not linger, Li Wei turned to climb the Fusong Divine Tree Light shadow, but a figure in crimson robes crashed into him from behind, sending a shower of clinking copper coins scattering across the ground. The copper coins dangling from the red rope above her head swayed outward in four directions. Though she was a spirit form, the impact felt remarkably real. Li Wei let himself fall to the ground, stunned and disoriented. He stared at the guardian wife standing opposite him. "Guardian wife. When did you get out? You should have warned me, you nearly scared me to death. This place is strange, we need to leave immediately and return to the Sea of Qi." The Dao Guardian didn't smile. She took a step forward, moving toward the source of the heartbeat. Her shoes swayed rhythmically, like wind-blown feathers gathering and scattering, exquisitely ornate, resembling a round skirt adorned with crimson dragons and phoenixes amidst swirling stars. With each step, the copper coins at the four corners of her veil clinked together, producing a melodious, wind chime-like sound. Li Wei glanced around nervously, gritting his teeth as he followed her. Ignore that thing's rhythmic pulses. You can manifest yourself without my blood. Are you trying to drag my spirit out too? What kind of place is this? Is it dangerous? Can you handle it? Don't act rashly, this place might be guarded by powerful immortal wills. The guardian wife seemed annoyed, pausing and turning her veiled face toward him. Though her eyes remained hidden beneath the veil, he could see the long jade strings and the tear-streaked curve of her chin. Very well, since you're willing to save me. I only have 5 spirit essences left now, so I can't be of much help. Li Wei stared at the red-veiled headdress. Perhaps because he was in his spirit form, the sudden, mournful wail sent a chill down his spine, unlike the chilling presence of a female ghost. He felt an overwhelming urge to lift the veil and see what lay beneath. Soon, Li Wei followed the guardian wife to a towering stone stele. Li Wei, observing from his hidden vantage point, sighed softly. Before the Xuanhuan cycle is complete, perfection remains elusive. This stele, though seemingly flawless, cannot connect the law to the heavens. The inscription on the stele was left by ancient cultivators of the Pildao, who had voluntarily participated in sealing this danger, fully aware of the consequences. Is alchemy really that dangerous? Li Wei muttered. It's like a life and death contract. Could it be more than just alchemy? Li Wei turned to the guardian wife beside him. Can you even see with that veil on? Should we take it off first? The guardian wife remained silent, circling the stele and continuing forward. The stele loomed like a sea. Li Wei walked along its edge and peered behind it. The sight that greeted him left him speechless with awe. It was colossal. A gigantic pill furnace, as large as a mountain, floated in the distant sky. The distance was too great, the pill furnace appeared faint and hazy within the golden mist. A dull, heartbeat-like thumping emanated from the pill furnace. The pill furnace trembled gently, its surface cracking as if a living being were struggling to break free from within. Had the guardian wife not remained so composed, Li Wei would have fled immediately, perhaps even abandoning the ancient Pildao Grand Path. Nearly 100,000 years had passed since the era of Sect Sage. How could there possibly be a living creature inside the furnace? From the cracks in the mountain-sized pill furnace, strands of golden liquid light flowed outward, converging upon the 13 altar-shaped miniature pill furnaces surrounding it. This place resembled an ancient formation, still functioning after countless years. Li Wei hurried to catch up with the guardian wife. As they drew closer, ancient diagrams and seals appeared on the massive, suspended pill furnace every 5 steps. There were diagrams of human meridians, maps of the 10 springs, depictions of cloud seas. And even patterns resembling the roots of plants. Thump. Thump. The muffled heartbeat from within the pill furnace grew clearer, resonating in their ears. 13 cauldron-shaped pill furnaces were sealed by densely vibrating talismanic runes, each spanning about 10 zhong. Golden liquid light continuously surged into the furnaces through the gaps in the runes. What are they refining? Li Wei stared at the runes, feeling disoriented and uneasy. He suddenly realized this place was far more complex than it appeared. Did the immortals leave this behind? Is this a great opportunity or a great terror? Drawn to one of the pill furnaces, he unconsciously reached out to lift its lid. Curiosity overriding caution, he gazed inside, then picked up a stack of scattered jade scrolls and ancient texts to study. Golden Skeleton Heavenly Clan. What kind of race is this? Golden Bone Cultivation Technique. Minor Completion Chapter, Major Completion Chapter, Golden Holy Bone Chapter. Li Wei was captivated by the contents of the jade scrolls. He learned that the mainstream human cultivation methods in Yingzhou had originated during the Golden Age of Pildao, developed through research on the Golden Skeleton Heavenly Clan. My golden bone cultivation has reached minor completion in the 5 Seas realm, and major completion in the Dao Seed realm. But I've never heard of the Golden Holy Bone chapter before. In the immortal realm, all realms involve no further cultivation of the physical body. Because breaking a immortal shackle automatically enhances the body's power. Upon reaching the Nirvana realm, practitioners cultivate the physical body to continue progressing. They use laws to absorb the vital chi from heaven and earth, enhancing both the strength and resilience of their physical bodies. But here lay the cultivation method for the Golden Holy Bone chapter. It was divided into 3 tiers, each with 9 stages. The first tier, the Scripture Holy Bone, comprised 3 stages. Mastering the first stage allowed one to contend with great immortal realm martial mystic cultivators. The second stage enabled one to rival the peak of the 7th realm of the immortal realm martial mystic cultivators. The third stage granted the ability to battle cultivators in the Nirvana realm. And this was only the first tier. One could scarcely imagine the power attained upon mastering the second and third tier. How formidable would it become? Could it be that the Golden Holy Bone chapter was completed but never disseminated before disaster struck? Li Wei's heart burned with fervor. The minor and major completion chapters of the Golden Bone technique had become the mainstream physical body cultivation methods in Yingzhou solely due to the competitive edge. Building upon the greater completion foundation, cultivating the Golden Holy Bone chapter would undoubtedly forge bones far superior to those of other immortal realm martial mystic cultivators. Even upon reaching the transcendent realm and imprinting laws into their bodies, practitioners would retain a distinct advantage. Yu Yaozi could fight top-tier transcendent beings with her physical strength alone. Yet, she could never hope to defeat the martial mystic Tao Heavenly Emperor through physical prowess alone. The second tier of the Golden Holy Bone chapter claimed that upon completion, one could contend with the transcendent realm. The word, contend, was ambiguous. It could mean merely withstanding a few blows, or it could imply achieving a true stalemate. Still, it seemed certain that this cultivation method would secure a prominent position among the heavenly emperors. The Golden Bone Scripture, this must be the scripture specifically for cultivating the Golden Holy Bone chapter, right? The Golden Bone Scripture comprises 9 jade scrolls, its scriptures densely packed, as fine as a fly's leg. Unsure whether he could take the holy artifact with him, Li Wei glanced at the massive pill furnace above and immediately began memorizing as much as he could. Meanwhile, the guardian wife stepped beneath the colossal pill furnace, her foot striking something that chimed softly. She picked up a jade slip. Her body transformed into a crimson light shadow, drifting toward a deep abyss several miles away. The abyss's chasm stretched for dozens of miles, making her opponent seem impossibly distant. The cliffs on both sides of the abyss were carved with profound and mysterious talismanic runes and formation scriptures. After 100,000 years, their power had been eroded by time, their radiance dimmed as if a mere gust of wind could scatter them. She tilted her ear to listen for sounds from the depths of the abyss. Li Wei approached, carrying a thick stack of jade books. He froze at the sight of the chasm. Isn't this supposed to be a secret realm? Why is there such a massive fissure? Did the ancient Pill Dao site exist before this chasm, or did the chasm exist first? Are you going down there? The 10th layer of the Netherworld. The guardian wife murmured in a hissing, indistinct voice. What? Li Wei couldn't quite hear him. Let's go. Guardian wife used her alms bowl to gather Li Wei's 5-soul body, then rode the wind back to the Fusong Divine Tree Light Shadow and soared toward the ground. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 6. The Struggle for Immortal Realm. Chapter 72, 747, First Battle. 72nd of Volume 7. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. Inside the dilapidated Jade Palace, Li Wei's true form, seated in meditation, trembled violently. His body flashed with light 5 times before he abruptly opened his eyes. He held his breath for a long moment before exhaling a long, turbid breath. Finally back. Wait, was that just a dream? It felt so unreal, and the memories are fading rapidly. Li Wei's hands were empty. He hadn't brought out the stack of jade tomes. He hastily retrieved paper and ink from his cosmic pouch, intending to record the Golden Skeleton Scriptures and the Golden Holy Bone chapter. However, after writing only a few dozen characters, the related memories in his mind completely blurred. He then began to record his recent experiences and observations, fearing they too would vanish from his memory. Guardian wife, was that you just now? What did you discover? Did you pull my 5 souls down there? Li Wei asked into the void after finishing his notes. He suspected that he hadn't been dragged to an unknown realm by some malevolent entity, but rather that his guardian wife had used his soul body to explore a specific area of this place. Clatter. The sound of jade striking the ground echoed through the palace. A jade slip rolled to a stop beside Li Wei. He picked it up and immediately stood, scanning his surroundings. He called out to his guardian wife several times, but received no response. Channeling his spiritual chi, he infused the 3-inch-long jade slip. In an instant, a wisp of azure cloud chi escaped from the jade slip. It was the spiritual chi of sect sage Azure Cloud. The same pure spiritual chi lingered on the earthly tome, which Li Wei had seized from Fu Wenyan. The jade slip contained a hastily sent divine thought, its voice ancient and distant. Li Wei used his psychic power to analyze it repeatedly, deciphering only fragments, seal 13 altars, abyss of Tao's fall, and leave immediately. He couldn't grasp the full message. Li Wei's head throbbed with frustration. If what I saw and heard below is true, could there really be something within that colossal pill furnace about to break free from its seal? Stop scaring yourself. Nothing's happened in 100,000 years. Even if guardian wife acts up, she'd definitely warn me if there were any real danger. After careful consideration, Li Wei decided he had to inform the Grand Palace Master about the situation. Ideally, he should also send her the jade slip. Let her consult with Zhenhai Guanwu and allow them to determine whether this was a great opportunity or a grave danger. With their cultivation levels, they would surely have unique insights. Even if they didn't investigate personally, having this advance information would give them leverage in negotiations with the Zhongsheng Academy Emperor's consciousness, the Temple Master of Calamity Crossing Temple, and the Holy Emperor, allowing them to secure significant benefits. Information, in many cases, was invaluable. Without possessing any information, would figures of Heavenly Emperor and martial mystic Dao Heavenly Emperor level dare to recklessly enter the great ancient land of the Dao of Pills? Apart from the demon monarch, whose lifespan was nearing its end, most others would likely hesitate. Who should he entrust it to? Princess Yunchang. Princess Yunchang was the strongest among the Lingxiao Palace's transcendent level experts. She had accompanied the enforcement group, tasked with assisting Li Wei in handling threats beyond the immortal ascension being. But entrusting it to her would undoubtedly draw attention, making it uncertain whether the message would reach the Grand Palace Master. Seventh Phoenix appeared outside the formation, her claws striking the barrier with a heavy thud. Boss Li, they can't hold them back at the entrance anymore. Li Wei stowed the jade slip and the paper recording his observations, summoned the 10-star treasure bow, and slung the remaining 4 spiritual crystal-embedded arrows across his back. He charged out of the dilapidated jade palace. With a wave of his arm, spiritual light erupted, drawing the 8 formation flags embedded in the ground into the spirit realm between his eyebrows. He leapt into the air, landing gracefully atop a nearby rocky hill. Gazing several miles into the distance, he saw a relentless barrage of rune-inscribed crossbow bolts streaking from the tunnel entrance. Whoosh! Whoosh! Pu Yanshou, Meng Kui, and Qingshang were all severely wounded and depleted of spiritual qi, unable to mount a defense. Meng Xixian and Meng Siqi, wounded by crossbow bolts, retreated from the passage. The azure-armored warrior blocked 5 bolts, but the subsequent barrage of 7 or 8 arrows sent him flying backward. His armor shattered, his physical body severely damaged, and he lay motionless on the ground. 7 immortal ascension beings from the demonic kingdom faction led the charge, wielding demonic concealment crossbows, carrying shields, and clad in armor. They advanced in staggered formation, their rune-infused bolts raining down like a storm. Yu Zhan, Wenren Tinghai, and the 3 first sequence powerhouses of the demon race followed closely behind. The 5 masters unleashed their spiritual qi, jointly activating the myriad inscriptions artifact, Crescent Moon Scythe, to its primordial awakening state, and pressed forward. The Crescent Moon Scythe, the Demon Queen's hand scythe, transformed into a 1-foot diameter disc upon primordial awakening. Its surface blazed with golden flames and was inscribed with tens of thousands of scripture characters. The heat it radiated was so intense that even the immortal ascension beings felt scorched, their bodies seeming to melt. The leading immortal ascension being with the demonic concealment crossbow spotted the light and exclaimed in delight, "We're in. We've entered the secret realm. There's light inside, and the space is vast." Ah! A bolt pierced through the air, piercing his body completely. Even his armor was shattered. Thud! The immortal ascension being leading the demon kingdom's vanguard spat out a mouthful of blood, his body flying backward as his chest exploded, killing him instantly. It's Li Wei's myriad inscriptions artifact bow. Form shield formations. Quick, form shield formations. The remaining 6 immortal ascension beings in the tunnel were struck with terror. They immediately drew their shields and activated them with spiritual qi. The moment Li Wei uttered the word, fight, a dazzling spiritual light erupted from his body, coalescing into a 4-colored psychic armor. He leapt forward, covering the distance to the tunnel entrance in just 2 bounds. He knocked an arrow and drew back the bowstring. Thwack! The string snapped loose. A terrifying surge of martial mystic qi erupted outward, nearly knocking Meng Kui, Qingshang, and the others off their feet. The arrow shot forward, the spiritual crystal embedded within it rapidly melting. Inside the tunnel, the sounds of shields shattering and the immortal ascension beings' agonized screams echoed. In the next instant, Li Wei summoned the yellow dragon sword and teleported into the tunnel. Li Wei, prepare to die. Wenren Tinghai roared, his entire body surging with spiritual qi. Together with Yu Zhan, he unleashed the Crescent Moon Scythe, aiming it at the charging Li Wei. This was the strategy they had planned long ago. Once Li Wei entered the passage, they would use the Crescent Moon Scythe to end his life. The attack had already lasted 4 rounds, yet Li Wei had yet to reveal himself. Yu Zhan suspected he was healing his injuries. By advancing into the secret realm, they would inevitably force Li Wei out. Everything was proceeding as he had predicted. Ahead, a torrent of fiery martial mystic qi surged forward with overwhelming force, radiating the primordial power of the myriad inscriptions artifact. Li Wei unleashed a palm strike that collided with the primordial awakening empowered Crescent Moon Scythe. A mountain toppling, sea-churning force erupted, sending his body flying backward out of the passage. He landed with a crash, his feet digging a deep crater into the ground as he skidded back. Now that I've reached the holy spiritual psychic master 5th realm, my psychic armor's defenses have greatly increased. It can even withstand the primordial awakening of a myriad inscriptions artifact, Li Wei thought, before charging back into the passage with lightning speed. The collision had unleashed 2 colossal energies that now roiled within the passage. Not only were the 3rd immortal realm ascension beings overwhelmed, but even Yu Zhan and Wenren Tinghai felt the shockwaves, their hearts pounding with alarm. Something's wrong. With the combined power of 5 of us channeling the crescent moon scythe, we should have shattered Li Wei's physical body instantly. But just now, he seemed to withstand the attack for a moment, and a counterforce surged back at us. Gui Zipeng muttered, his heart pounding, a cold sweat drenching his back, sensing imminent danger. 5th Realm. Li Wei's psychic power has reached the 5th realm of a holy spiritual psychic master. Retreat. Retreat now. Yu Zhan roared, activating his body technique and retreating swiftly. Boom. Boom. A fierce battle erupted in the tunnel, punctuated by desperate cries of surrender. Only Yu Zhan and 2 first sequence experts from the demon race managed to escape. Boom. Wenren Tinghai was blasted out of the tunnel like a cannonball, crashing into the underground river. His body had been severed below the knees, leaving only his upper torso. Blood stained the river crimson. There was no scream, for he hadn't yet registered the pain. Outside, Ku Yao, Yu Jian, Shan Sheng, Qi Jianru, Cao Lin, and other elite members of the demonic kingdom faction paled with shock. They immediately activated their formations and battle formations, preparing for a full-scale attack. Wenren Tinghai finally registered the state of his body. His face turned ashen, his lips trembled, and he let out a raw, agonized roar. An elder from the Demon Kingdom's enforcement group pulled Wenren Tinghai from the water, immediately sealing the wounds below his knees. After examining him, the elder declared, he'll live. But the damage is too severe. He'll never fully recover, and his path in the martial mystic Dao is forever compromised. The Nirvana realm remains unattainable. For a prodigiously talented emperor's disciple, such an injury was worse than death, a fall from the heavens to the abyss. Yu Zhan retreated into the battle formation, standing beside Ku Yao, his gaze fixed on the tunnel entrance. Li Wei's psychic power has broken through to the 5th realm. Hearing this, the faces of the demonic kingdom faction's immortal ascension beings paled slightly. They immediately mobilized their full power, bracing for a fierce battle. Gradually, the sounds from the tunnel faded away. Whoosh! 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 4 immortal ascension beings from the demonic kingdom faction were hurled out, stripped naked, and tossed into the water. Seeing this, Ku Yao, Cao Lin, and the other female immortal ascension beings held their breath, their eyes dark and intense. They were grateful they hadn't participated in this wave of attacks. Li Wei was indeed a formidable and troublesome opponent. Li Wei's voice echoed through the tunnel, all 4 of them have surrendered. Senior members of the enforcement group, I've adhered to the rules, haven't I? Li Wei, where's Gui Zipeng? He's the grandson of the Peng King. Don't do anything rash, Yan Kai, the first sequence expert from the Canaan clan, warned coldly, his tone laced with threat. Li Wei's voice rang out again, I've killed the grandson of the Flying Phoenix, the beast-devouring prince, and the Tai Sui Earth monarch without hesitation. Why would I care about the Peng King's grandson's status? If any of you fear death, surrender and withdraw immediately. The rules of the Immortal Ascension competition guarantee your lives for 3 years. Otherwise, if you fall into my hands, I'll repay every grievance and settle every score. Instead of charging out, Li Wei lifted Gui Zipeng, bound by spiritual light chains, gathered the 3 corpses in the tunnel, and retreated back to the great ancient land of the Tao of Pills. In the narrow confines of the tunnel, individual strength held a significant advantage. However, in the open terrain outside, surrounded by Yu Zhan, Wenren Tinghai, and the 3 great demon race experts, even a master of Jiyu Junxiang's caliber would be overwhelmed within a few exchanges. Even if Li Wei were to break through to the holy spiritual psychic master 5th realm, it would still be a grueling battle. The demon kingdom had deployed a formidable formation outside, reinforced by several combined strike battle formations. This was not something a single person could break through. However, after this battle, the immortal ascension beings of the demonic kingdom faction would likely hesitate to invade again, granting them a period of respite. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 6, The Struggle for Immortal Realm. Chapter 73, 748 Beast Taming. 73rd of Volume 7. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Chong Prefecture, Kiji County Jade Tome. Chong Prefecture, Beishi County Jade Tome. Li Wei held a stack of jade tomes, flipping through them one by one. Each scroll represented a county-level territory within the Wolf Sovereign Wilderness. Had these jade tomes been seized within the Wolf Sovereign Wilderness, they could have been exchanged for a substantial fortune from the Holy Dynasty. But now, these scrolls were useless. Since they hadn't been captured in contested territory, they had to be returned. Territorial jade scrolls never became obsolete. Instead, they would be entrusted to the remaining immortal ascension beings of the Demon Kingdom. These survivors would be required to bring the scrolls to the contested territories and remain there for at least a year. In essence, the more immortal ascension beings Li Wei and his allies eliminated or forced out of the competition, the greater the advantage the Holy Dynasty, Ji Palace, and Wing Dynasty would gain in their territorial disputes with the Demon Kingdom over the next 2 to 3 years, making it easier to seize more territorial Jade Scrolls. After casually tossing the Jade Tomes aside, Li Wei turned his attention to the 5 demonic concealment crossbows he had captured. Originally, there had been 7. Yu Zhan had taken 2 with him during his retreat. A 7th rank 1000 inscriptions artifact. No wonder its power is so formidable. The Demon Kingdom spared no expense. Li Wei then examined the dozens of crossbow bolts he had collected. Each bolt was a foot long. The arrowhead, shaft, and fletching were all intricately inscribed with fine golden runes. After analyzing these runes, Li Wei concluded that replicating them wouldn't be too difficult. In contrast, the 10 spiritual crystal-embedded arrows for his 10-star treasure bow were far more challenging to craft. Each arrow used was irreplaceable. Only 2 remained. In the distance, Zhuoqiu Hongting, Pu Yanshou, Meng Kui, Qingshang, Meng Siqi, and Meng Xixian were all meditating to heal their injuries and restore their cultivation. They had complete faith in Li Wei, who, leveraging the terrain, could single-handedly hold off the entire Demonic Kingdom faction's elite forces. Li Wei, a 5th-stage holy spiritual psychic master, possessed combat prowess rivaling 6th Immortal Realm experts. Even among the 8th-generation immortal cultivators, he ranked among the upper echelons of power. Gui Zipeng lay sprawled on the ground, a humanoid figure with a tiger's head, green hair, twin horns, and a pair of broad, dark golden wings on his back. His arms were long but not particularly muscular, ending in 10 sharp, powerful claws. Bound by spiritual light chains, he lay unconscious and severely wounded. His body bore the combined traits of the ancient immortal giant beasts, the Baizi and the Dapeng. Li Wei retrieved the 100 Beasts Manual, the Demon Beast Records, and other beast scriptures from his cosmic pouch. He searched for records related to the Dapeng's descendants and began studying them intently. Then, he slowly approached Gui Zipeng. Holding the open compendium in one hand, he conjured spiritual light with the other, using it to trace beast scripture symbols in the air. What are you doing? Sensing imminent danger, Gui Zipeng abandoned his pretense of unconsciousness, snapped open his eyes, and rolled away. Though his spiritual chi had been sealed, his raw physical strength alone made the spiritual light chains flicker violently with a deafening clang, threatening to break free. Its cultivation was formidable, capable of defying even the 5th realm of Great Immortal. The ground trembled violently as it thrashed. Li Wei strode forward and stomped heavily on the tiger's head, driving half of its skull deep into the earth. Relax. This will be quick. Roar. Li Wei pointed downward, channeling beast scriptures into a sigil that he branded onto Gui Zipeng's demonic soul. Poof. The sigil vanished, dissolving into motes of light. The branding failed. Wrong sigil. Let's try another. Li Wei began drawing a new sigil. Gui Zipeng roared with the fury of a tiger, his voice shaking the heavens. You dare attempt to enslave the grandson of the Peng King. The Peng King is one of the supreme demon kings of the great wilderness demon plains, and my great Peng ancient immortal bloodline has been refined to over 50% purity. I am a prodigy among my clan, destined to become a demon king myself. To humiliate me is to humiliate the Peng King. Roar. Golden light flashed across Gui Zipeng's feathers. Ancient scriptures erupted from within his body, channeling his bloodline power as he transformed into his true form. His body rapidly expanded to colossal size, distorting the very space around him. In moments, his true form materialized. Mountain-sized, it completely blocked the tunnel entrance. Its twin wings spanned over 100 meters, its feathers shimmering like dark gold metal. The tiger's head was as large as a palace, its horns gleaming brilliantly. Demonic chi radiated for dozens of miles, its aura overwhelmingly powerful. But the spiritual light chains binding Gui Zipeng did not break. Instead, the chains grew thicker, transforming into chains as thick as water buckets, binding him even more tightly. I surrender. This venerable one surrenders. I withdraw from the Immortal Ascension competition. Gui Zipeng shouted, scanning his surroundings before yelling toward the entrance, hoping the elder experts of the enforcement group outside would hear him. You are not an Immortal Ascension being. You entered as a mount, and therefore have no right to surrender, Li Wei declared, meticulously inscribing beast scriptures. Outside, Yu Zhan's voice echoed, Junior brother, spare Gui Zipeng's life. We can negotiate terms. Li Wei's mind raced. He replied with a smile, very well. Give me the Jade Tome of the Void Ruins Empress's scepter, and I'll release him. Yu Yaozi had told him that the Demon Kingdom would offer the Void Ruins Empress's scepter as a wager. This scepter could command the fundamental power of Void Ruins. I regret to inform you that the scepter is a priceless treasure, and I do not know who possesses the Jade Tome. Yu Zhan's voice carried genuine sincerity. HMPH. Li Wei ignored him, channeling a second beast scriptures into Gui Zipeng's skull. Four-colored radiance flickered across the tiger's head before sinking into its flesh, successfully imprinting upon the demon soul within. Yes, it worked. Li Wei exclaimed, overjoyed. Subduing a immortal realm demon beast with this beast taming technique was a completely new endeavor. Gui Zipeng's face twisted in terror, his heart pounding with panic. No. I have the bloodline of the great Peng ancient immortal protecting me. How could you possibly possess a beast scriptures capable of subduing me? The more noble the bloodline, the more impossible it is to control. The scriptures within the divine martial tower of Lingxiao Palace encompassed all knowledge. They contained not only beast scriptures for subduing immortal realm demon beasts, but also scripts for controlling demon kings of certain races. HMPH. HMPH. One beast scriptures after another descended, striking Gui Zipeng's demon soul and forming a complete scripture for absolute control. Gui Zipeng initially resisted, but Li Wei's layers of spiritual light relentlessly suppressed him. Gradually, his eyes glazed over, and he resigned himself to his fate. Li Wei, let's negotiate. How can I redeem myself? We have no personal grudge. I only participated in your human race's immortal ascension competition for the resources of the demon kingdom and the demon race. No personal grudge. You were the most relentless pursuer, the most skilled tracker. If I had fallen into your hands, what would have been my fate? And even as a prisoner, you dare address me by name. Li Wei planted his foot on Gui Zipeng's head. The creature's massive, furry head felt like kicking into a thicket of grass. Li Wei unleashed his psychic power, using the power of the beast scriptures to control Gui Zipeng's demonic soul. HMPH. Gui Zipeng's body shimmered, reverting to his true form, a tiger-headed humanoid with peng wings. He lay prostrate on the ground, his tiger eyes like bronze bells, filled with fear. After a moment of staring at Li Wei, his gaze softened. Lord Li, you haven't killed me. Clearly, I have value. Let's talk. Gui Zipeng was a formidable cultivator. Had he not been cornered in the narrow passage, Li Wei would have struggled to capture him. Such a powerful being naturally possessed a sense of pride. Talk about what? Guard the entrance passage. Try to escape, and I'll crush your demonic soul. Li Wei planned to explore the great ancient land of the Tao of Pills but feared running into danger. That was why he had subdued Gui Zipeng to serve his purposes. With a whoosh, the spiritual light chains dissipated. Gui Zipeng crawled to his feet, realizing the seal within him had vanished. He chose to bide his time, folding his wings and retreating into the tunnel to secretly heal his injuries. Once fully recovered, he would seek an opportunity to kill Li Wei. He couldn't act rashly, he needed absolute certainty. With the beast scriptures implanted in his demon soul, Li Wei could kill him with ease. Li Wei entered the tunnel, sketching formation glyphs as he asked, what methods has the demonic kingdom faction prepared that I'm unaware of? Gui Zipeng stood in the distant shadows, feigning honesty and sincerity. They've already used every trick they have. What could they possibly have left that you don't know about? If you won't tell me, I can always search your soul, Li Wei replied. Gui Zipeng cursed inwardly, slapping his forehead. I remember now. They've prepared the Sword River Cloud Dragon formation, powered by 28 immortal ascension being level sword masters. It's said to be capable of effortlessly slaying martial mystic cultivators in the 6th realm of the immortal realm. 28 elite warriors, each wielding a flying sword, will combine their power through a battle formation. Their swords will flow like rivers, transforming into a cloud dragon that will pierce through your defenses. You stand no chance against it. However, crafting such a battle formation will take at least a month. Before that, the holy spiritual psychic masters of the demonic kingdom faction will first deploy defensive and offensive great formations to secure the exits. Given your current cultivation at the holy spiritual psychic master 5th realm, Lord Li, I'm sure you can devise a countermeasure. As Gui Zipeng spoke these final words, he sneered inwardly, utterly convinced that Li Wei couldn't withstand such a formidable assault. Li Wei asked, anything else? That's all, Gui Zipeng replied. Li Wei fixed him with a malevolent stare. What about the body-transcending pill? Gui Zipeng couldn't conceal the shock in his eyes. He had only learned about the body-transcending pill today. Yu Zhan had used it to incentivize the top cultivators to enter the great ancient land of the Tao of Pills. Lying comes at a price. Kneel. Li Wei's voice remained calm as he pressed his finger through the air, activating the beast scriptures within Gui Zipeng's body. With a thud, Gui Zipeng knelt heavily on the ground, letting out a furious growl. I am the grandson of the Peng King, possessing the noble bloodline of the great Peng. Kill me if you must, but do not humiliate me. Li Wei's gaze turned serious. Are you serious? Gui Zipeng's heart trembled slightly as he recalled the shot-down Crimson Ming and the decapitated prince of the devouring beast. He took a deep breath and changed his tone. Lord Li, as the number 1 on the Earth ranking and the human race's most brilliant rising star in a millennium, submitting to you is no disgrace. I spoke too harshly earlier. This guy sure knows how to bend when he needs to. Li Wei continued carving formation glyphs. Does the demon kingdom know what this secret realm is? No, they truly don't, Gui Zipeng replied. Li Wei then pressed him for more information. A day later, Pu Yanshou, Meng Kui, and the others had fully recovered from their injuries, returning to their peak condition. At the entrance to the passage, Li Wei discussed their next move with them. The Demon Kingdom hasn't fully deployed their defensive and attack formations yet. With our combined strength, we could launch a preemptive strike and deal them a crippling blow. Meng Kui frowned and waved his hand dismissively. No. The Demonic Kingdom faction's combined strike battle formation is formidable. Even if Brother Wei has broken through to the Holy Spiritual Psychic Master 5th Realm, recklessly charging out would likely result in heavy losses. Qingshang immediately added, the Demon Kingdom outnumbers us greatly. If they seize the opportunity to invade the great ancient land of the Tao of Pills while we're attacking, we'd lose everything for a small gain. Why take such a risk? Li Wei then revealed the information about the Sword River Cloud Dragon formation in the body transcending pill. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 6. The Struggle for Immortal Realm. Chapter 74, 749 Opportunity. 74th of Volume 7. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. The expressions of the Zongsheng Academy members grew grave as they exchanged silent messages, engaging in a hushed discussion. Finally, Meng Kui declared, the Sword River Cloud Dragon formation, combined with Brother Wei's Great Wind, Fire, Thunder, and Lightning formation and our support, should be sufficient to defend against them. Crafting and practicing such a complex formation will take them far longer than a short period. As for the body transcending pill, it is indeed a trump card. However, they won't be able to break through for another year, so there's no need to rush. Zuoqiu Hongting's eyes flashed with divine light. The Demon Kingdom's influence within the Calamity Crossing Temple is substantial. They could easily use the temple's time formation. In just 3 months, Jiyu Junxiang, Shan Shenge, Shenji, and the others could break through to the 5th realm of the Immortal Realm. With them leading the charge, defending the passage will be as difficult as ascending to heaven. Despite their best efforts to persuade them, the Zongsheng Academy members remained unwilling to take risks. Brother Wei, Miss Hongting, you've already explored the great ancient land of the Tao of Pills, haven't you? Since we're here, we plan to venture deeper to search for the sect sage's relics. Meng Siqi and Meng Xixian will stay behind to help you guard the entrance. Meng Kui turned to the 2 direct descendants of the Meng clan. Meng Siqi and Meng Xixian stepped forward and bowed. We brothers deeply admire Southern Dragon and will follow your orders without question. After bidding farewell, Meng Kui, Qingshang, and Pu Yanshou ventured deeper into the secret realm, a landscape dominated by yellow-brown stone mountains. Their figures soon vanished among the peaks. Gui Zipeng stood in the passage, sneering coldly. He knew that Li Wei and Zongsheng Academy were not united, each harboring their own schemes and calculations. Zuoqiu Hongting approached Li Wei and sighed softly, transmitting her thoughts telepathically. Zongsheng Academy's goal was to locate the great ancient land of the Tao of Pills, and they've already achieved it. From their perspective, they want the Demon Kingdom faction to invade, forcing you out of the competition. This would allow Zongsheng Academy's transcendence, and even the Zongsheng Academy Emperor's consciousness, to enter and investigate without obstruction. Right now, you're blocking the entrance, and the older generation is mutually restrained, unable to directly interfere in the Immortal Ascension competition. They can't get in. For now, Meng Kui and the others are cooperating with you for 2 reasons. First, they want to seize opportunities before the Demon Kingdom faction's Immortal Ascension beings and older generation experts arrive. Secondly, they're unwilling to be eliminated so easily. They want both the opportunity and the chance to continue competing in the Immortal Ascension competition. Asking them to risk everything and fight their way out with you goes against their interests. In 3 months, they can thoroughly search the great ancient land of the Tao of Pills. Li Wei understood this perfectly. There were no immortal friends, only immortal interests. After 3 months, they might proactively join forces with me to break out. Once we're out, they'll immediately leave. Hongting, have you finished exploring the first layer of the great ancient land of the Tao of Pills? Zuoqiu Hongting gazed into the distance, her eyes fixed on the warm golden radiance floating in the sky. Except for a few areas with ancient residual formations that I dared not approach, I've conducted a cursory search of the rest. But to say I've thoroughly investigated every corner would be impossible. Flying forward 1,000 miles, you still can't see the edge. This place is so vast that it would take decades to explore completely. Over the past 100,000 years, most medicinal pills, books, and treasures have decayed, leaving only meager remnants. But I've discovered something strange. The heaven and earth spiritual chi here is incredibly dense, yet bizarrely, millennium essence herbs are exceedingly rare. Is that so? Li Wei said, that's indeed abnormal. After being sealed for 100,000 years, with vegetation thriving in the remnants of medicinal gardens, it wouldn't be strange to find not just millennium essence herbs, but even a batch of emperor herbs. Does the artifact spirit of your broken lamp have any insights? Zuoqiu Hongting replied, that old fellow. I can't communicate with him whenever I want. He spends most of his time in slumber, healing his injuries, and is rarely awake. Understood. He's likely similar to guardian wife, Li Wei thought. Li Wei glanced at Meng Xiqi and Meng Xixian, then at the tunnel entrance, and a headache began to form. Without finding a way to seal the tunnel, they couldn't leave. He also wanted to explore the great ancient land of the Tao of Pills. He even considered venturing to the second layer. Treasures like the Golden Bone Scripture and the Golden Holy Bone Chapter wouldn't remain unclaimed forever. If he didn't seize them, they would likely fall into the hands of the older generation experts from Zhongsheng Academy. Moreover, the Golden Bone Scripture was essential for cultivating the five elements' heavenly core and breaking through to the Nirvana realm. It served as a crucial bridge for understanding the Tao of Metal element. I must enter the time cocoon and refine the great wind, fire, thunder, and lightning formation to the fourth tier as quickly as possible. Li Wei made his decision. Each stage of the great wind, fire, thunder, and lightning formation consisted of 1600 formation glyphs. The third and fourth tier stages both used mid-grade spiritual formation glyphs, which he had already studied under his master. While challenging, he had reached the Holy Spiritual Psychic Master 5th realm and could progress steadily. Once completed, the formation would contain 6,400 formation glyphs. Below the 7th immortal realm of the Immortal Realm, few beings would still pose a threat to Li Wei. Zhuangxian had once mentioned that fewer than 48th generation immortal cultivators had reached the 6th realm. Only these individuals could suppress the 4th tier great wind, fire, thunder, and lightning formation. 8 formation flags flew from Li Wei's forehead, arranging themselves into a formation at the entrance of the passage. Before entering the formation, Li Wei transmitted the beast scriptures controlling Gui Zipeng to Zuoqiu Hongting. If it shows any signs of betrayal, kill it immediately. Also, I do have some secrets I'll tell you eventually, but not yet. 7th Phoenix is secretly following the 3 from Zhongsheng Academy. If anything happens, it will return to report to you. I'm entrusting the task of guarding the passage to you for now. 7 days later. Outside the passage. The Immortal Realm demon experts of the Demonic Kingdom faction had transformed into their colossal true forms, excavating the earth to create a vast vertical cavern leading to the surface. On the cavern walls, the flood dragon and abyssal spider summoned massive insect race armies, which continued to expand. The underground situation, projected by the starry sky mirror, drew the attention of cultivators from all factions. Even some transcendents personally approached to study the geological strata and surrounding environment. The Demon Kingdom had centered 3 mid-grade spiritual formation-level defensive and trapping formations around the fissure-shaped passage, along with a great formation for attack, to prevent Li Wei and the martial mystic cultivators of Zhongsheng Academy from launching a counterattack. Yu Zhan stood by the underground river, his expression profound. Li Wei proved far more formidable than anyone had anticipated. With Wenren Tinghai severely wounded, the entire burden now rested on Yu Zhan's shoulders. A 4th realm immortal being from the Demonic Kingdom faction hurried over to report. The surrounding subterranean rock strata are exceptionally hard, forming a massive metallic vein. The deeper we dig, the greater the resistance becomes. Moreover, spatial reactions have been detected. This is undoubtedly a secret realm. Attempting to breach it from another location is impossible, even with immortal realm cultivation. Yu Zhan asked, have you found the boundary? No, replied the immortal ascension being. The underground terrain is extremely complex. We're still exploring further, and we haven't found any other entrances yet. Ku Yao approached. Li Wei didn't flee immediately, which strongly suggests this secret realm has only one entrance and exit. The defensive and offensive formations have been fully deployed, and we'll have 10 holy spiritual psychic masters guarding them in shifts. With over 100 immortal ascension being level experts stationed here, even if Li Wei, Ku Yanshou, and Meng Kui attacked together, they wouldn't stand a chance of breaking through. Then I'll leave this place in your hands. The body transcending pills have arrived. Master Shan, Shenji, Sao Lin, and I need to enter the time formation at Calamity Crossing Temple to break through to the 5th stage. Once we reach that level, Li Wei won't be able to stop us. Yu Zhan pondered for a moment before asking, how long will it take to set up the Sword River Cloud Dragon formation? 1 month to refine the formation, 1 month to train the combined attack. 2 months should be sufficient, Ku Yao replied. Half a month had passed outside. Within the time cocoon, nearly half a year had elapsed. After breaking through to the Holy Spiritual Psychic Master 5th realm, the time cocoon's time ratio had reached 111. Engraving the 4th tier wind, fire, thunder, and lightning formation glyphs proved slow work. Li Wei had only completed a quarter of the task, successfully refining the simplest and most familiar 400 thunder attribute glyphs. During his 6 months within the time cocoon, Li Wei hadn't merely focused on formation refinement, his internal spiritual qi had circulated ceaselessly. Empowered by the body-transcending pill, the fourth immortal shackle, the white tiger shackle, had been breached by a small fraction, revealing its first crack. This pill was truly remarkable. When Yu Yaozi had warned him that the three body-transcending pills from the Yu Heng immortal dynasty might have lost their potency due to prolonged storage, Li Wei had felt uncertain. Now, judging by the current progress, even if the pill's essence had diminished, he would undoubtedly break through the white tiger's shackle within a year. Within the time cocoon, this would take only a month. Seventh Phoenix emerged from invisibility and whispered something in Zuoqiu Hongting's ear. Zuoqiu Hongting approached the Eight Formations banner and gently pressed her palm against the formation barrier. Moments later, Li Wei stepped out of the formation. Seventh Phoenix says the three from Zhongsheng Academy have made a major discovery, Zuoqiu Hongting transmitted telepathically. At the edge of a residual formation area, they found an 8,000-year-old millennium essence herb, and azure cloud chi is rising from the ground. Li Wei glanced at Seventh Phoenix. Seventh Phoenix swore, I swear, it's really an 8,000-year-old essence herb. How could I mistake that scent? The Medicine King Jade Bee found it, its nose is as sharp as Third Phoenix's. Boss Li, we've missed a great opportunity. They're back. Li Wei looked into the distance at three figures flying through the air. Meng Kui held the 8,000-year-old essence herb, beaming with excitement. Brother Wei, this is undoubtedly a great ancient land of the Tao of Pills. Look what we found. Even at the edge of the residual formation area, we discovered such a treasure, worth over 1,000 spiritual crystals. This trip was worth it, more than worth it. We wanted to venture deeper, but the formation there is strange and dangerous, Qingwu said. Perhaps your mastery of formations could lend us a hand. Li Wei asked, it's not just about the Millennium Essence herbs, is it? Hu Yanshou nodded solemnly. Sect sages diluted azure cloud immortal chi is seeping from the ground. Even in such a diluted state, it would be immensely beneficial to immortal realm martial mystic cultivators. So, you're telling me there might be a great treasure hidden underground? Li Wei asked thoughtfully. Qingshang chuckled. Seventh Phoenix has been following us the whole time, hasn't she? You wouldn't know if we hadn't told you. The opportunities we've seized so far belong to us alone. Once the older generation enters, what will be left for us? Meng Kui stated, we have only one condition. If there's an earthly tome or similar inheritance-type treasure underground, it must be ours. Everything else will be divided according to merit. Li Wei was pleased to see their eagerness. As long as they remained focused on the opportunities within the great ancient land of the Tao of Pills, they could continue to cooperate against the Demon Kingdom faction's immortal ascension beings. Okay, Li Wei said. But first, you must help me defeat the Demon Kingdom's 9th generation immortal ascendants. I predict they'll launch their final attack in 2 months. Seeing the trio's expressions darken, Li Wei added, actually, I know of an even greater opportunity. If you cooperate with me, I'm willing to share it. Zuoqiu Hongting's expression shifted as she glanced at Li Wei. She knew he was referring to the second layer. He had concealed its entrance, making it impossible for the Zhongsheng Academy trio to find it in such a short time. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 6. The Struggle for Immortal Realm. Chapter 75, 750 Probing. 75th of Volume 7. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. The 5 masters of Zhongsheng Academy were all formidable experts. Even Li Wei, who had broken through to the Holy Spiritual Psychic Master 5th Realm, had to exercise caution when facing their combined power. Unfortunately, their interests had now clashed. The companions who had fled 70,000 miles with Li Wei, sharing life and death, had become variables that could potentially ruin his success at any moment. Yet, for now, they stood together, their faces still amicable. Firstly, the opportunity was too enticing. Secondly, Zhongsheng Academy didn't want to antagonize Yu Yaozi and the Divine Sea Sect, Li Wei's backers. Thirdly, Li Wei's rapid advancement in power had given him the upper hand. It was precisely this situation that led Li Wei to dangle the greater opportunity before them, stoking their ambitions and binding them to his cause. Worried they might not believe him, Li Wei recited the first few dozen characters of the Golden Holy Bone chapter he had memorized earlier. The words were profound and mysterious, each character like a gem of wisdom. The 5 Seas realm and Tao Seed realm both cultivate the physical body. Why does the path of physical body cultivation abruptly end at the immortal realm? All of you are unparalleled geniuses of the past 60 years. Aren't you even a little curious? Li Wei spoke with unwavering conviction, answering his own question, because 10,000 years ago, during the Great Alchemical Movement, the Golden Holy Bone scripture was developed, but it never had time to spread before being lost in this place. Blessed with extraordinary fortune, I previously obtained a few fragments of the scripture. After careful study, I was utterly amazed. Now that my cultivation has advanced significantly, I plan to delve deeper into that land of opportunity and treasures. Miss Qingshang, with your vast knowledge and exceptional insight, and given that the golden bone cultivation method was pioneered by your ancestral sect sages, do any records of it exist within the Qing clan? The passage I recited earlier could not have been fabricated. Qingshang, slender and graceful, her expression grave, fixed her gaze intently on Li Wei, imprinting the immortal scripture onto the golden bones to further cultivate the physical body. This method is indeed mentioned by some elders in the clan. However, after repeated research and attempts, all ended in failure. Some even suffered lifelong disabilities as a result. Seeing Qingshang's attitude, Meng Kui immediately understood, there was likely a lost golden holy bone chapter in the world. A realization dawned on him. I see now. No wonder you could overwhelm even the Nine Springs Heaven's flawless cultivator in the same realm. Li Wei puffed out his chest, dismissing the matter with a casual wave. With Brother Meng's innate talent and intelligence, if you cultivated the golden holy bone chapter and enhanced your physical body, even if Jiyu Junxiang could defeat you in the same realm, he would pay a heavy price. This understated remark ignited a fire of ambition and fighting spirit in Meng Kui's heart. During the ranking competition's North Lake battle, Meng Kui had exerted every ounce of his strength, yet failed to so much as scratch Jiyu Junxiang. For a prodigy like him, it was the greatest humiliation of his life. How could he not want to reclaim his honor? Zhuoqiu Hongting couldn't resist rolling her eyes at Li Wei. While others might be fooled, she knew better. This guy had never even set foot in the great ancient land of the Tao of Pills before. The so-called Golden Holy Bone chapter was undoubtedly a complete fabrication, yet he had somehow managed to deceive several of the Zhongsheng Academy's most brilliant heavens chosen. Li Wei pressed his advantage, adding, besides the Golden Holy Bone chapter, there's also an eternally burning formation there. Medicinal pills are refined within this formation and stored in countless pill furnaces. Can you imagine the pills refined over 100,000 years? They might even be immortal pills. Just one could cleanse your marrow and purge your impurities, transforming you into an immortal body capable of crushing all enemies in your realm. Or perhaps, within days, you could ascend to the Nirvana realm, laughing triumphantly over the world. In the distant corridor, Gui Zipeng had been listening intently, leaning forward with burning eyes, his heart stirred by Li Wei's words. But the moment Li Wei mentioned immortal pills, Gui Zipeng's rapturous expression vanished, replaced by a cold sneer. He saw through Li Wei's bluster, recognizing his attempt to manipulate the Zhongsheng Academy disciples and bind them to his cause. Crude tactics, Gui Zipeng thought. Even Zhuoqiu Hongting felt Li Wei had gone too far and tried to stop him, but it was too late. Hu Yanshou, Meng Kui, and the others naturally remained skeptical, their faces betraying amusement rather than conviction. Hu Yanshou cut to the chase, Brother Li, let me be frank. For the next 3 months, we can continue our sincere cooperation to resist the immortal ascension beings of the demonic kingdom faction. But as you said, the demon kingdom possesses the body-transcending pill. Once Jiyu Junxiang, Shan Sheng, Yuzan, and the others reach the 5th realm, we won't be able to stop them. It's not that we don't want to help, nor that we don't want to be your friend, it's simply beyond our capabilities. Meng Kui added, with your 5th realm holy spiritual psychic master cultivation and the combined power of your martial mystic powers, you could rival an ordinary emperor's disciple who has reached the 5th realm. But Jiyu Junxiang, Shan Sheng, Yuzan, and Shen Ji, none of them are ordinary. Once they break through to the 5th realm, they'll deal with you first, then launch a counterattack against the 8th generation immortal cultivators. Li Wei understood perfectly. The demon kingdom likely hasn't refined many body-transcending pills. I have a way to verify the number of body-transcending pills, Zhuoqiu Hongting and Qingshang said almost simultaneously. Zhuoqiu Hongting turned to Qingshang, offering a graceful gesture. Please, go ahead. Qingshang nodded slightly in acknowledgement, then continued, half a month ago, Gui Zipeng received intelligence that the body-transcending pills had been successfully refined and were en route to the Calamity Crossing Temple. Based on this, Southern Dragon believes the demonic kingdom faction's 4th realm peak experts have already entered the time formation at the Calamity Crossing Temple to break through the immortal shackle. They will launch their full-scale attack in 2 months. There are only a handful of first sequence powerhouses at the peak of the demon kingdom's 4th realm. We'll call out to them one by one and see who responds. Those who don't will give us a rough idea of their whereabouts. Li Wei nodded thoughtfully, a smile flickering in his eyes. In that case, Miss Qingshang, would you accompany me through the passage and try calling out? At the same time, I want to test the strength of the Demon Kingdom's outer formation to see if there's any chance of breaking through. All right. Qingshang's eyes sparkled with clarity, but her tone shifted. Before we proceed, I'd like to ask Southern Dragon a question. How many body-transcending pills would it take for you to abandon your defense of the passage? I'm talking about rationally abandoning a position you know you can't hold, not giving up on the Immortal Ascension competition itself. By abandoning the passage, Southern Dragon could still use the residual formations within the great ancient land of the Tao of Pills to continue maneuvering against them. He might even break through. Li Wei considered carefully. 3 pills. Using the passage's strategic advantage, blocking both Jiyu Junxiang and the Shang Shenge is already my limit. Both are masters of close combat, their imperial techniques are profound, their minds are unyielding, and they have no weaknesses. Add Yuzan or the Shenji to the mix, and my defeat would be certain. I couldn't hold the passage. Qingshang frowned slightly, doubting Li Wei's ability to simultaneously hold off Jiyu Junxiang and Shan Shenge, but considering Li Wei's cautious nature and the extraordinary power of the great wind, fire, thunder, and lightning formation, she suspected he might have another trump card. Since Southern Dragon is still rational, she said, if the Demon Kingdom truly possesses only 2 body-transcending pills, Zhongsheng Academy will undoubtedly fight alongside you. This was the fundamental condition for their alliance. Li Wei rolled up a stack of jade tomes and 3 corpses from the tunnel floor, glancing at Gui Zipeng. You go first. Gui Zipeng reluctantly swayed forward, leading the way. Li Wei and Qingshang followed behind. The tunnel stretched about 30 meters, neither long nor short. Its walls were as hard as iron, causing spatial ripples when struck by the myriad inscriptions artifact. They were now just 3 meters from the exit, where faint light filtered through. Gui Zipeng immediately froze, afraid to proceed. He shouted toward the outside, it's me. Gui Zipeng, grandson of the Peng King. Don't activate the attack formations or the myriad inscriptions artifact. A distant psychic voice echoed through the tunnel, accompanied by whistling winds. Gui Zipeng, you are a friend of the Demon Kingdom, but I'm afraid you cannot leave the tunnel. If you do, we will activate the formations without hesitation. Understood, Gui Zipeng replied. Gui Zipeng responded, turning to look at Li Wei. Li. Lord Li wishes to speak with Yuzan. Anything you have to say, you can say to me. Ku Yao's voice grew clearer. Li Wei gazed at the 6-meter-high, 2-meter-wide entrance. Outside, the world blazed with blinding light. Thick, bowl-sized formation chains hung densely between heaven and earth, while a thick white mist obscured everything, making it impossible to discern what lay beyond. Deliberately ignoring Ku Yao, Li Wei shouted, Yuzan, I want to trade the corpses of 3 immortal ascension beings from the demonic kingdom faction for 3 healing spiritual pills. They died fighting for the demon kingdom, surely you wouldn't want them to become my battle corpse puppets. Spiritual pills were invaluable, priced in spiritual crystals. In the Dao Seed realm, any healing spiritual pill would spark bloody conflict, akin to the holy spiritual pill or immortal pill. Li Wei was certain the demon kingdom would agree to the exchange. This would also lull his opponents into believing he had exhausted his supply of healing spirit pills. Outside the formation, all the demonic kingdom faction cultivators who had been meditating rose to their feet, preparing for battle. Upon hearing Li Wei's demand to trade corpses for pills, they cursed him inwardly, seeing this as the ultimate exploitation of profit. After a long pause, 3 healing spiritual pills flew into the passage. Send out the corpses of the 3 immortal ascension beings. As the Dao technique successor of Yu Yaozi, surely you, Li Wei, wouldn't stoop to such a despicable act of disrespecting the dead. Ku Yao demanded. Li Wei channeled a wisp of spiritual qi to retrieve 3 healing spiritual pills, his brow furrowing deeply. It was clear that if Yuzan were present, he would have already responded. How could he possibly let Ku Yao steal the opportunity to showcase her virtue and win hearts? Since Yuzan had gone to the Calamity Crossing Temple, Shan Shenge no longer needed to inquire. Whoosh, whoosh. Li Wei tossed out the 3 corpses. From the swirling white mist outside, 3 spiritual light chains shot forth, coiling around the corpses and dragging them away. Shenji, out of respect for our past alliance with the Void Ruins Ancient Kingdom, I spared your life. Why have you broken your word and joined the Demon Kingdom and Lingxiao Palace in their struggle for the life-preserving spring? Shenji had once attacked the entrance to the great ancient land of the Tao of Pills, giving Li Wei an excuse to probe him. A long silence followed. Qi Jianru's voice finally broke the stillness. Senior brother Shen had no choice. Trapped in this situation, he's not his own master. Shenji had also returned to the Calamity Crossing Temple. Li Wei's expression darkened further. Where are the Bear Clan and Dog Clan's demon cultivator powerhouses? I advise you not to oppose me, or I'll add 2 more mounts to my collection. Li Wei, your end is near. The Dog Clan's first sequence powerhouse, Yan Kai, was cut off mid-sentence by Ku Yao. Curious, Ku Yao asked, what's wrong? Ku Yao's face turned grim. Something's off. Li Wei deliberately shouted out to gauge which of our experts are present and which aren't, trying to determine how many have taken the body-transcending pill. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Asterisk 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 J